This video is about Thor battles Jörmungand in Midgard until his hammer breaks. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. Part 1 Thunder's Wrath. In the age when the roots of Yggdrasil intertwined with the hearts of men, the world was still young. Midgard, a realm of mortals, flourished under the watchful eyes of gods, yet darkness lurked in shadowy corners. For in the deep waters of the ocean, the Midgard serpent, Jörmungand, coiled and waited, a creature born of chaos, envy, and wrath, destined to bring ruin. Thor, son of Odin, the All-Father, stood upon the cliffs of Njord's reach, his golden hair whipping in the salty winds. His grip tightened around him Mjolnir, the legendary hammer crafted by dwarven hands, imbued with the fury of the storm itself. Today, the air crackled with tension, the very fabric of reality bending under the weight of fate. "Why do you summon the storm, my son?" asked an ethereal voice. It was Freyja, the goddess of love and war, her presence a radiant beacon in the gathering gloom. The tides whisper of calamity. Thor's brow furrowed, his blue eyes alight with the fire of determination. The serpent stares beneath the waves. "Freyja, I sense his malice growing. The time for confrontation nears. If I do not face him now, he will bring devastation upon Midgard." "Beware, Thor," Freyja cautioned, her voice trembling like the gentle rustle of leaves. Jörmungand's power is vast. His venom can fell even the mightiest of gods. Destiny is a fickle mistress. "Destiny?" Thor roared, his voice echoing like thunder across the cliffs. "I am the hammer of the gods. I shall write my own fate today." With a final glance at Freyja, Thor leaped from the precipice and landed upon the shores of Midgard. The waves surged angrily, crashing against the rocks, as if warning him of the battle ahead. The sky darkened, mirroring the storm brewing within Thor's heart. As he approached the water's edge, the ocean churned, and the horizon twisted unnaturally. With a sudden surge, Jörmungand broke the surface, scales glimmering like obsidian under the stormy sky. The serpent's eyes glowed with a malevolent intelligence, surveying the god who dared to approach. "Son of Odin," Jörmungand hissed, his voice a mixture of gravel and thunder. "You seek to challenge the inevitable. I am the harbinger of Ragnarok, the end of all things. You are but a fleeting spark against my eternal darkness." Thor raised Mjolnir high, channeling the tempest that surrounded him, lightning striking the hammer with a deafening crack. "You may be the herald of doom, serpent, but I am Thor. I will not let you claim this realm without a fight." With a roar that echoed through the mountains, Thor charged forward, leaping into the air, the very essence of thunder incarnate. Mjolnir struck like a comet, aimed at Jörmungand's head. The serpent twisted, narrowly avoiding the blow, but the impact sent shockwaves through the ocean, creating colossal waves that crashed upon the shores. Jörmungand retaliated with a furious tail swipe, aiming to crush Thor beneath its weight. The god rolled to the side, feeling the rush of air as the tail struck the ground with a deafening thud. Sand and rocks exploded around him, but Thor remained resolute, propelled by the fury of the tempest within. "Is this all you have, serpent?" Thor taunted, rising to his feet, Mjolnir crackling with energy. "I expected a challenge worthy of a god." "Foolish pride will be your undoing," Jörmungand snarled, lunging forward, fangs bared. The serpent's venom dripped like molten sorrow, a reminder of the devastation it could bring. Thor stood firm, knowing that each moment spent in this struggle marked a step closer to either glory or doom. With a swing of Mjolnir, Thor unleashed a bolt of lightning that arced through the sky, striking Jörmungand in the flank. The serpent writhed in agony, hissing as the energy coursed through its body. Yet in that moment of victory, the serpent's eyes glinted with a darker resolve. "Your strength may be great, but my endurance is eternal." Jörmungand bellowed, unleashing a torrent of water that surged toward Thor like an avalanche, fierce and unstoppable. Thor raised his hammer, the wind howling as he summoned a shield of thunder, a barrier of electric fury that met the wave head-on. The clash sent shockwaves across the battlefield, the ground trembling underfoot. In the chaos, Thor saw visions of his past, the giants he had slain, the friends he had lost, and the burdens he carried as a god. Suddenly, a piercing cry broke through the roar of the tempest. From the depths of the ocean, a host of sea creatures emerged, summoned by Jörmungand's wrath. Merfolk, monstrous and deformed, rushed toward the shore, their eyes gleaming with malice. "Lend me your strength, my brethren," the serpent commanded. "Together, we shall bring this god to his knees." Thor felt the tide of darkness rising against him. He had faced many foes, but never a battle of this magnitude. He called forth the spirits of his fallen comrades, urging their courage to fill his heart. With a fierce battle cry, he charged at the advancing merfolk, swinging Mjlna with the fury of the storm. Each swing sent sea creatures flying, their shrieks drowned out by the thunder. The air crackled with energy as Thor fought with unmatched ferocity, his hammer a whirlwind of divine retribution. But the sheer number of foes began to overwhelm him, the darkness of the ocean rising like a tide. "Can you not see, Thor?" Jörmungand's voice echoed, mocking and triumphant. "Even the mightiest of gods cannot stand against the tide of inevitability." In that moment, Thor felt the weight of destiny bearing down on him. He thought of the mortals on the shore, the families, the children who depended on him to protect their world. With a fierce resolve, he hoisted Mjlna high, calling upon the storm's full might. "By the blood of my ancestors, I will not yield," he bellowed, summoning the tempest to his aid. Lightning split the heavens, illuminating the battlefield in a blinding flash. With Mjlna crackling, Thor launched himself high into the air, soaring above the rising wave of darkness. Time slowed as he hurtled toward Jörmungand, the serpent's eyes widening in shock. "No!" the creature cried, as Thor brought Mjlna crashing down, the force of divine retribution meeting the serpent's escaping maw. The impact was cataclysmic. A blinding light erupted from the collision, a storm unleashed upon the world. The very fabric of Midgard trembled as Thor's might clashed with the serpent's wrath. But as the dust settled, the fate of the battle began to reveal itself. Despite the might of the blow, the serpent twisted, its scales absorbing the energy with a dark, sinister laugh. "You are strong, Thor, but even strength has its limits. Witness the destruction of your precious hammer." As the serpent lashed out, Thor felt a crack beneath his grip, a shiver of fear crawling up his spine. Mjlna vibrated violently, and in an instant, a shattering sound erupted, a fracture in the very heart of the hammer. "No, it cannot be!" Thor screamed, feeling the weight of despair settle upon him. The world felt still, suspended in the horror of the moment as he watched Mjlna's power flicker like a dying star. Thor's heart raced, the realization coursing through him. Without his hammer, he was vulnerable. As the serpent lunged for him, jaws wide, Thor prepared himself for the fight of his life, knowing that destiny, honor, and sacrifice would guide him through the impending darkness. The stage was set for an epic clash, the thunder of fate reverberating through the realm. The battle was far from over, it had only just begun. # to be continued. # Part 2, The Shattered Hammer. The echo of Mjlna's shattering resonated in Thor's soul like a thunderclap in the silent void. The mighty hammer, a symbol of unyielding strength and protection, lay in ruins, fragments scattered like relics of a bygone era. With the storm swirling around him, his heart pounded against his chest, each beat a reminder of his vulnerability. Jörmungand's laughter echoed across the turbulent sea, a haunting melody that cut deeper than any blade. "You see, Thor, even the gods can be broken. You have lost your weapon, your power, and now the tide of fate turns against you." The serpent's fangs glistened as it drew closer, venom dripping like dark rain. "Do not mistake my strength for the weight of a hammer," Thor shouted defiantly, his voice rising above the roar of the waves. He clenched his fists, channeling the primal energy of the storm that raged overhead. "I am the god of thunder. I do not need Mjlna to unleash the fury of the heavens." With newfound resolve, Thor leaped into the air, summoning the thunder to his call. The sky rumbled as he drew upon the elemental forces of Midgard. Bolts of lightning surged through his body, illuminating the darkness that enveloped him. He would show Jörmungand that he was more than merely the wielder of a hammer. He was a god forged in the crucible of battle. As he descended, he struck the ground, sending shockwaves rippling through the earth. The serpent recoiled, momentarily stunned by the sheer force of Thor's defiance. Seizing the opportunity, Thor sprinted towards the shoreline, the winds whipping around him like a vengeful spirit. But the tides had shifted, and the merfolk, led by a colossal sea witch whose eyes glowed with an eerie light, surged forward from the depths. "The tide cannot be stopped, Thor, you will pay for your arrogance," she screeched, her voice a cacophony of malice. In that instant, memories flooded Thor's mind, the laughter of his comrades, the warmth of family, the honor of defending the innocent. He could not lose, his heart burned for Midgard, for its people who relied on him. "I will not falter," he bellowed, charging toward the advancing horde. With every strike, he felt the pulse of the storm thrumming through him. He fought alongside the fury of the tempest, grappling with the merfolk and sending them crashing back into the waves. "You will not take this land for my people," he roared, his fist connecting with the dark waters, sending sprays of salt and fury into the air. Yet, as he struck down the last of the merfolk, Jörmungand emerged from the depths, eyes smoldering with fury. "You think your strength will save you?" Thor, you are but a flickering flame against the overwhelming darkness of destiny." The serpent lunged, jaws agape, ready to swallow the god whole. Thor rolled to the side, narrowly escaping the serpent's crushing bite. He could feel the heat of its breath wash over him as he scrambled back to his feet, the ground trembling beneath the weight of the creature. "I may be a flicker, but I will ignite a storm," he yelled defiantly, drawing upon the primal energy of the tempest raging overhead. He grasped a large boulder, the remnants of the cliffs broken from their foundation, and hurled it at the serpent. The stone flew true, slamming into Jörmungand's snout with a thunderous crash. "Feel the wrath of a god," Thor shouted, feeling the rush of adrenaline course through him. Enraged, Jörmungand recoiled, hissing in pain. The serpent's scales shimmered ominously, and Thor could sense a change in the air. "You will pay dearly for your insolence, Thor. I shall unleash a storm the likes of which even you cannot fathom." With a flick of its tail, Jörmungand summoned a tempest from the depths of the ocean. Whirlpools formed, sucking down everything in their vicinity, and dark clouds gathered ominously overhead. Thor could feel the weight of despair creeping in. The serpent was channeling a power beyond comprehension. But Thor's heart burned bright with purpose. "You may summon the storm, but it is I who commands the thunder." A surge of defiance coursed through him as he steeled himself against the approaching darkness. The clouds roared, lightning striking down with relentless fury. Thor raised both arms, calling forth the storm as it swirled around him. "By the blood of my ancestors and the strength of Midgard, I will not let you triumph." In that moment, he embraced the chaos, feeling the energy of lightning crackle through his veins. He focused all of his will into a single point, channeling the raw power of the storm. "I am Thor. I will not be a pawn in your game of fate." With a roar that shook the heavens, he unleashed a torrent of lightning, a celestial spear that surged towards the serpent. The bolt struck true, illuminating the battlefield in blinding light. Jörmungand writhed and twisted, but the energy coursed through its body, leaving the serpent momentarily disoriented. Seizing the moment, Thor charged forward, fist clenched. "Now, foul creature, you shall know the might of a god," he shouted, delivering a series of powerful blows to Jörmungand's exposed flank. Each strike reverberated with the force of the storm, shaking the very foundations of Midgard. But in the midst of the battle, the sea witch raised her hand, conjuring tendrils of dark magic that snaked through the water like smoke. "Foolish god, you will not defeat my master while I draw breath," she shrieked, sending a wave of darkness toward Thor, enveloping him in shadows. He staggered, feeling the chill of despair creeping into his heart. "No, I will not succumb." Summoning every ounce of will, Thor broke through the darkness, fueled by the memories of those he loved and the weight of responsibility that anchored him to Midgard. With a primal roar, he surged forward once more, slashing through the tendrils of darkness. The storm intensified around him, becoming a vicious cyclone that howled in response to Thor's fury. "Your magic cannot bind me. I am the storm itself." With renewed vigor, he leaped into the air, soaring above the serpent. "You may have tried to break me, but I am forged in the fires of battle." He aimed for the serpent's heart, seeking the source of Jörmungand's power. Thor descended like a comet, fists ablaze with the energy of the storm. "This ends now." His fists connected with the serpent's scales, the impact sending shockwaves through the ocean. Jörmungand let out a deafening screech, thrashing violently as the energy coursed through it. But just as victory seemed at hand, the serpent lashed out with its tail, catching Thor mid-strike. He was thrown back, crashing into the jagged rocks of the shoreline. Pain exploded through him, but he pushed through, forcing himself to rise once more. "Is this all you have, Thor?" Jörmungand taunted, the serpent's voice echoing with dark glee. "You think a few blows will deter me? I am the darkness that consumes worlds." Bruised and battered, Thor glared at the creature. "I may be down, but I am not defeated." He wiped the blood from his brow, feeling the spark of defiance reignite within him. "You are nothing but a shadow against the light of my spirit." And with that, he called upon the storm one last time, channeling every ounce of strength into his voice. "For Midgard, for my father, for the fallen." He felt the primal energy of the storm surge within him, a tempest of raw fury and determination. As the skies exploded with light, Thor prepared for his final confrontation with Jörmungand. The fate of Midgard hung in the balance, and he would not let darkness claim his home. The battle was far from over. It was only just beginning, a clash of gods, a struggle written in the very fabric of destiny. # to be continued. # Part 3, The Tempest Unleashed. The air crackled with tension as Thor stood battered and bloodied, the remnants of Mjolnir scattered around him, a testament to his struggle. The world seemed to hold its breath, teetering on the edge of fate's razor edge. Jörmungand loomed before him, eyes glowing with dark triumph, the waters of Midgard swelling violently around them, mirroring the turmoil within Thor's heart. "You think you can defy the shadows, Thor?" Jörmungand hissed, the serpent's voice like the rustle of dead leaves. "You're but a flickering flame in the vast abyss of eternity. Your struggles are futile." In that moment, Thor felt the weight of despair, but it was fleeting, a mere whisper against the storm that roared inside him. "I am not merely a flame," he bellowed, his voice a thunderous echo that resonated through the heavens. "I am a storm, and I will bring the fury of the gods upon you." He raised his arms to the sky, summoning the tempest as the dark clouds swelled ominously above. Lightning danced, and the winds howled, a curse of nature responding to the call of its champion. Thor, once more, became the embodiment of thunder, a divine force of nature that refused to be extinguished. With a defiant shout, he surged forward, channeling the primal energy of the storm. Jörmungand lunged, jaws wide, but Thor was quicker. He dodged, rolling across the rocky shore, feeling the cold spray of the ocean as he evaded the serpentesque grasp. "Your bite is no match for the heart of a god," he roared, drawing upon the memories of his father, the strength of his ancestors fueling his resolve. From the depths of the ocean, the sea witch howled, her voice cutting through the chaos like a knife. "You will not prevail, Thor. Jörmungand is the herald of Ragnarok, and you are but a mere obstacle in his path. But obstacles are meant to be overcome." Thor shouted back, rising to his feet. He snatched a shard of Mjolnir from the ground, feeling the remnants of its magic coursing through him. "You may have broken my hammer, but you cannot break my spirit." With the shard clutched tightly in his fist, Thor charged at Jörmungand, the serpent calling to strike again. But this time Thor was prepared. He leaped, channeling the storm as he soared above the serpent's gaping maw, striking down with a shard of Mjolnir as lightning rained from the heavens. The impact was colossal, sending ripples through the ocean as Jörmungand screeched in agony. The serpent thrashed, dark waters rising to envelop Thor, but he stood firm, grounded by the weight of his destiny. "You will not claim Midgard as your own," he declared, the fury of the tempest amplifying with every word. In a moment of desperation, Jörmungand unleashed a torrent of venom, a noxious cloud that swirled towards Thor like a tempest of darkness. He could feel the chill creeping in, the venom threatening to engulf him, but he would not succumb. With a primal roar, he raised his arms, the storm responding to his call. "I am Thor, I am the storm," he thundered, and with that declaration he focused the energies of lightning, summoning a protective barrier that sizzled as it met the venom. The two forces clashed, creating a dazzling display of light and darkness. Yet the serpent was relentless. "You are strong, but strength can be a burden," Jörmungand taunted, his voice dripping with malice. "You will tire, and when you do, I shall feast upon your remains." But Thor was undeterred. "I will not tire, not while Midgard breathes." He charged forward again, dodging the serpent's strikes, his spirit soaring with each step. He struck at Jörmungand's scales, each blow accompanied by a crackle of lightning, illuminating the battlefield with flashes of brilliance. As the battle raged on, the waters churned violently, the storm raging overhead echoing the clash of their worlds. The sea witch, sensing her master faltering, summoned the remnants of her magic, weaving dark strands into a monstrous wave that surged toward Thor. "You cannot fight the tide," she shrieked, her voice a cacophony of chaos. But with a heart full of determination, Thor raised his head, the storm swirling fiercely around him. "I can and I will." With that declaration, he drew upon the deepest reserves of his strength, channeling the tempest into a singular force. "By the blood of my ancestors, I unleash the fury of the storm," he bellowed. The skies exploded with light as he held the lightning-infused shard of Mjolnir, a spear of divine wrath that struck the monstrous wave and split it in two, the remnants cascading like shattered glass. The energy surged back toward Jörmungand, striking the serpent squarely in the chest. The creature recoiled, its scales shimmering with the power unleashed upon it. For the first time, Thor saw doubt flicker in Jörmungand's eyes, a spark of fear that ignited a fire within his own soul. "Is this all you have, serpent?" Thor taunted, feeling exhilarated by the tide of battle shifting in his favor. "You are not the harbinger of doom, you are merely a monster that will meet its end today." Wounded but furious, Jörmungand lashed out, the serpent coiling its massive body around Thor, attempting to constrict him. The world darkened as he was engulfed in shadow, the weight of the serpent's body pressing down upon him. "You shall know despair," the serpent hissed, venom dripping from its fangs. But even in the depths of despair, Thor's spirit burned bright. He clenched the shard of Mjolnir, drawing upon the energy of the storm. "I will not yield, I am the god of thunder," he roared, channeling all his strength into the shard, feeling it resonate with the storm's fury. With a mighty surge, Thor broke free from Jörmungand's grasp, an explosion of energy erupting from his form. Lightning coursed through his veins, illuminating the darkness that had threatened to consume him. He raised the shard high, and a bolt of lightning struck it, amplifying the power within. "I am the storm, let chaos beware," Thor declared, unleashing a torrent of energy that surged toward Jörmungand, enveloping the serpent in a radiant blaze of thunderous fury. The air crackled, the ocean roared, and the heavens trembled before the wrath of a god unleashed. Jörmungand thrashed wildly, caught in the tempest, but Thor advanced, channeling every ounce of strength and fury he possessed. "This ends now," he cried, striking down upon the serpent with the full might of thunder, the shard of Mjolnir piercing through the darkness. The impact sent shockwaves rippling across Midgard, the land trembling beneath the god's wrath. Jörmungand let out a deafening wail, the sound echoing through the mountains as the serpent was engulfed in a blinding flash of light. The darkness lifted, revealing a sky where the sun broke through, shining upon the battlefield. As the dust settled, Thor stood victorious, the remnants of Mjolnir glowing faintly in his hand. The battle had left its mark upon him, bruised and weary, but a surge of triumph coursed through his veins. He had faced the darkness and emerged, not unscathed but stronger, tempered by the fires of conflict. Sweeping his gaze across the now peaceful shores of Midgard, he saw the faces of the mortals, once filled with fear, now lighting up with hope and reverence. He had fought for them, and in that fight he had rediscovered the essence of his god, that he was not simply a wielder of a hammer, he was Thor, protector of Midgard. "Let this day be remembered," he declared, raising the shard of Mjolnir high. "For today, we have triumphed against darkness today, we stand united against despair." And as the sun illuminated the scars of battle, the people cheered, their voices rising in a chorus of gratitude. Thor, once again, had defended the realm he loved, and though the trials had been fierce, he emerged with a heart full of honor and a spirit forged anew in the storm. But deep within the oceans, shadows stirred, and the prophecy of Ragnarok loomed ever closer. The battle against darkness was only the beginning, and with each victory, Thor understood that destiny had woven a tale far grander than any god could fathom. The storm may have calmed, but the tempest of fate was far from over. # to be continued. # Part 4 of The Shattered Horizon. The sun hung low over Midgard, casting a golden hue upon the battlefield. Thor stood amidst the echoes of war, his heart still racing from the fierce confrontation. Though the serpent lay defeated, the remnants of battle weighed heavy on his spirit. The triumph felt hollow as he surveyed the remnants of Jörmungand, for he knew destiny was always lurking just beyond the horizon. Yet, as the cheers of the mortals rose, celebrating their goddess victory, a shadow flickered across the sea. Thor's instinct screamed through the tempest of his triumph, urging him to look deeper into the waters that shimmered like glass. "Something stirs beneath," he murmured, the remnants of his shattered hammer still glinting in his grip. But before he could warn the people, a dark swell erupted from the ocean, a vortex of swirling shadows that twisted and roared, coiling upwards like a serpent of black smoke. From the depths emerged the sea witch, her eyes ablaze with fury, her voice a cacophony that echoed with vengeance. "You may have defeated Jörmungand, but you cannot kill fate so easily, Thor. It dare not threaten my realm again." Thor shouted, lifting the shard of Mjolnir defiantly. "Your dark magic has no place in Midgard. Then prepare to face the storm of my wrath," the witch screeched, raising her arms as the waters around her began to boil and froth. The sky darkened, lightning crackled ominously, and the winds howled like lost souls. "You will taste despair once more." With a flick of her wrist, she summoned tendrils of darkness that surged towards Thor, bending the very fabric of reality. The air thickened, filled with an ominous dread as the shadows wrapped around the god, seeking to bind him. But Thor's spirit flared, burning brighter than the encroaching darkness. "I am not so easily ensnared," which he roared, channeling the storm that still thrummed within him. With an explosive motion, he shattered the tendrils of darkness, sending fragments of shadow swirling away like autumn leaves lost in the tempest. The air crackled with energy as he thrust the shard of Mjolnir forward, summoning a bolt of lightning that arced through the storm. It struck the ground, but moments later, a bullet shot toward the witch. She countered, summoning a shield of dark energy that absorbed the strike, creating a thunderous explosion of sound that sent ripples through the ocean. "Fool," she spat, her voice laced with venom. "Your power is diminished. You are but a remnant of the god you once were." Rage ignited within Thor, a deep-seated fire that roared louder than the storm. "You do not know my strength," he bellowed, charging forward, his feet pounding against the earth as thunder echoed with every step. The shard glimmered, pulsating with energy as he leaped high into the air, summoning the very essence of the thunderstorm that had been his ally. "Come, darkness, let us dance," he shouted as he descended, unleashing a torrent of lightning that cascaded down, striking the sea witch and illuminating her in a blinding flash of light. The impact sent her sprawling back into the waves, but she quickly regained her footing, her face twisted in rage. "Your defiance will be your undoing," she howled, summoning a swirling cyclone of dark magic that spiraled towards Thor, a tempest of shadows eager to envelop him. But Thor was not afraid. He raised the shard of Mjolnir, channeling the storm's energy as he became one with it. "You think you can extinguish my light?" he roared, the shard glowing increasingly bright. "I will show you the true meaning of thunder." With a deafening roar, he hurled the shard into the heart of the cyclone, watching as it pierced through the dark magic like a comet through the night sky. The storm erupted in a cataclysm of light and sound, as the energies collided in an explosion that sent shockwaves across the ocean, scattering the shadows like leaves before a gale. The witch shrieked, her form contorting in agony as the light engulfed her. But just as she faltered, she called forth the remnants of her magic, weaving it into a dark barrier, a shield that twinkled with malevolence. "You may have power, Thor, but darkness is eternal," she screeched, forcing back the light and struggling to maintain her grasp on the storm. But Thor was relentless. "Eternal darkness meets eternal valor," he shouted, channeling every ounce of spirit, every shred of strength within him. "I am Thor, I will not yield." He advanced, striking the barrier with the force of a storm, the shard glowing brighter with each impact. The clash resounded like a war drum, reverberating through the heavens. Each blow sent ripples of energy through the air, and with a final, ear-splitting crack, the barrier shattered into 1,000 fragments of darkness, exploding in a flash of brilliant light. The sea witch staggered back, her form barely held together by dark tendrils. Her eyes were wide with fear, a reflection of the despair inching closer to her heart. "You cannot—" But before she could finish, Thor charged forward, summoning the storm once more. The wind whipped fiercely around him, lightning crackled with violent energy, and he poured everything he had into one last strike. From Midgard, he thundered, hurling the shard with all the force of the tempest. The lightning-infused shard pierced through the air, striking the witch squarely in the chest, the force of the impact igniting the darkness around her. The explosion of light shattered the evening sky, illuminating the horizon like a second dawn. As the light faded, Thor staggered back, panting, watching as the once mighty sea witch was consumed by her own darkness, her form dissipating into nothingness. "This is your end," she screamed, but her voice faded into the abyss as she vanished completely, engulfed in the very shadow she had wielded. Silence fell over Midgard, the calm after the storm settling like a blanket over the land. Thor stood amidst the remnants of battle, breathing deeply, feeling the weight of the victory settle upon his shoulders. Though he was battered and bruised, he was alive, and that meant there was still hope. But within the stillness, a chilling thought rippled through his mind. Jörmungand defeated and the witch banished, yet the prophecy of Ragnarok loomed ominously ahead. "The battles may be won," he murmured to himself, "but the war is far from over." As he turned to rejoin the mortals, triumphant cheers filling the air, an unwelcome chill swept through the gathering crowd. The laughter faded, replaced by uneasy glances, and a dark cloud loomed on the horizon, an ominous reminder that fate was yet to be fulfilled. "Thor!" shouted a voice, cutting through the murmur of concern. It was Balder, bright and noble, his face marred with worry. "The omens grow darker. I fear our victory may awaken forces we cannot comprehend." "What do you mean?" Thor asked, his brow furrowing as he stepped closer. Balder pointed toward the horizon, where dark clouds gathered in not of storm, but of something more sinister. The giants stir, and whispers speak of treachery among the realms. Ragnarok approaches, and with it, trials far more daunting than any serpent or witch. Thor's heart sank as he stared into the distance, where shadows beckoned, twisting and culling amongst the gathering storm. He felt the weight of destiny upon him, a reminder that even the strongest of gods could not escape the threads woven by fate. "Then we shall prepare," Thor declared, his voice ringing with determination. "We will gather our allies, then stand united against whatever darkness lies ahead. For Midgard, for Asgard together, we shall face the coming storm." With the cheers of the mortals rising once more, a spark ignited in his heart, the knowledge that even amidst despair, hope could flourish. Together with his comrades, they would ready themselves for the trials ahead, for the clash of fate was not one to be faced alone. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson, Thor stood resolute amidst the gathering darkness, ready to forge his destiny, ready to carve a path through the chaos that awaited him. The tempest of fate loomed ever closer, but within it, Thor would find the strength to stand against it, to defy destiny, and to emerge not just as a god of thunder but as the eternal protector of Midgard. # to be continued.